Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sina's AI Spotlight. And today we're talking about Snapsight. And for those of you who know me, I'm a very big fan of Snapsight because I used it a lot myself as an organizer, but also as an attendee. Because if you're going to the IMAX shows, if you're going to the PCMA conferences, the ICA Congress, you've seen it probably. You've seen the QR code on a slide or in front of a session room, a signage like, okay, scan here for takeaways. And me myself, if you see me speaking somewhere, you see it as well because whenever I talk about things, I like to use it as well. And I thought, okay, let's talk about it a bit more. And that's why I invited Anand from Snapsight today to really give us like the like back end view of it, but also the audience view and really insights of what it is, how people can use it, and how it benefits us as event organizers, and then ultimately, of course, the attendees. So, welcome everybody to this stream. If you're joining us live on LinkedIn, please say hello in the chat so we feel we feel less lonely, and we know some people are watching us live. And of course, you can also watch it on demand afterwards. And yeah, let's dive right in. I would say, Anand, are you ready?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sina. Thank you for the intro and lovely to catch up with you always, as always. And it's been quite a while that we've been talking and chatting and understanding AI together. And it's been a fun journey where we started off with the beginning of AI, and then we are now adopting and then moving up the ladder, and then producing and also amazing results with the AI adoption as well. So it's been a great journey, especially the last 18 months. So thank you.
Of course, of course. And thanks for taking the time today to show us a little bit how it works. So, Anand, maybe in a nutshell, like just at the beginning, like what is Snapsight?
Absolutely. So Snapsight is the world's first AI content summarization tool and especially focused for the event industry. And yeah, so we are a company which has been designing event tech for the past 16 years. So where do we use this expertise? Where does the AI take us to the next step? So a lot of credit to the team that early on they did have this thought of what's the biggest problem statement. When they did the research, they said that event content has been overlooked for a long time. So event content has been produced, there's so much resources, there's so much energy and money put in, and I feel that given a stepchild treatment always. So that way we saw that that's a big opportunity where they could repurpose that but also share insights from that content, so that there is so much value for attendees, the organizers, and the speakers as well. They get the spotlight. You know what I mean. You speak like so many places. So if that kind of attention
Yeah,
is given to you after the event,
yeah,
think about it.
I agree. And also like from my experience, whenever I organize events, you have so many sessions. You put years of work into getting the speaker, get putting the program together, and then sometimes after the event, okay, it's done, and that's such a pity. But also, what I like about it is that imagine you have a conference with 5 tracks at the same time. What sometimes happen when I attend convening leaders, there's so much going on, and obviously I can't like separate myself to go to the different sessions. And then I like if there is a tool like this that can record it, and then afterwards I can look through the notes, and see what was discussed. And then also if the event is recorded, then afterwards I can also like then say, okay, these takeaways, they look interesting. I want to learn more. I'm going to watch the recording. And I don't waste like an hour or 45 minutes watching something. And I'm like, okay, there was nothing really interesting for me. So in that sense, it's also interesting for me, like from the participant perspective, to really have these key takeaways or idea clouds. And I mean, I'll leave it up to you to show us a little bit how it looks like for those that don't
Absolutely.
know.
Of
um,
course. So
but,
I
but
think gone are the days where somebody's going to spend 45 minutes on an on-demand video. We have to be realistic in that front. That is not going to, unless until somebody gets some credits to watch that, some educational credits where they need to go through. That's not the place anymore. It's 25 now. So the experience has to be more crisper, shorter, and in the present, so that it has that engagement. After post-event content gets published a month later, so that's criminal in that sense of what kind of work has been put in, and then afterwards you need to deliver that immediately. So the faster impact is what we are aiming for. So yeah, just to deep dive into what the product is that we're aiming for the experience to be real time. So that's the idea behind it. So Snapsight, the name itself comes from the place that we are able to deliver the insight to an attendee in a snap. So that is the intention here, and that is the experience here. And
Nice.
how does this happen is, I think, generally the first question, but how does the attendee experience it? So let me just see if I can start off with, I'll not bore you with any kind of slideshow, but a few things to just give you an experience that how this even looks like. So we see that any scale of event is led by a speaker or a few speakers uh, on the session, and what the experience would be, it would be similar, where the scale of the event might be a hundred people meeting or even 1,000 attendee conference. It would be led by the session programming. So let's say this is an example of somebody speaking on stage and leading the session. What we are giving in the experience is that in real time, the attendee can just scan a quick QR code, or even get it through the event app itself, or a quick link from the organizer. The experience would then be something like they would get the QR code scan, and the output is threefold. One is key takeaways. The key takeaways is the quick digestible summarization of the topics. All of the topics are laid down in real time so that they are quick, and anyone who's looking at it on at the session live will be able to grasp what the topic was without getting into too much of detail. So they would have an understanding of, okay, this is the sense of it, and also you would see there is an extra note of what if they want to elaborate on it. And the second experience is, I think, one of the best thing of our product is the idea cloud. Most of the time it is confused as a word cloud. Idea cloud is far more than just a word cloud. It is a visualization of all the topics, and it is just not the words which are coming up. It is built on the idea of which there is the speaker's thought on it. So when you click on any of it, you would see the root of the idea. You would see the quote attributed to the speaker himself, and that is where you would see that there is perfect relevance here, that the real time there is just not the transcript coming up or a caption coming up, but it is far more than that. It is analysis in real time. So that is the second level of experience to it. And then third is the summary. The summary is again, the third segment is a summary where somebody, as you mentioned, 5 sessions happening at the same time, you do not have the bandwidth to go to all the sessions. So if somebody would have if have the session summary of a session they've not attended, they would first glance it and see if that is relevant to them, because you don't want to waste your time in and going through entire session topics of a session which is not relevant to you. So that is something that the summary would give you that. And then that all of that is done automatically.
Nice. Hmm.
There's no
Okay.
manual intervention there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. So
Yeah.
we can just lean back and the participants can really focus on listening. And of course, they can still take some of the notes that they really want to take.
Yeah.
Um, but also what is interesting in my previous employer IUCN, we always had note takers in every session because afterwards maybe we produce a report, and well, it was not easy to find people like taking notes because we had multiple sessions going on at the same time. So now AI can do that job, so it really helps to afterwards, like also for us as an organizer to do something with the content, that with the valuable content that is shared in a session.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of people who has joined in as well. And She has put in some, the product team as well as joined. I see Tom, who has put in a good question that what content do we get from the event as a summary? The live lectures or the PPT presentations video? That's a great question. That's exactly the segue I wanted to go to, is that uh, we are right now, Snapsight is working on analyzing the audio content, because we are not looking at analyzing a PPT or a dump of content which is shared pre-recorded or anything that way. So we're trying to get exactly what the content is. So we are utilizing. So how does this work? Is that the typical AV setup goes in where the stage is, the people are mic'd up on stage, and the connection goes to the mixer board, and the AV team handles that, and the output is speakers. But what we're doing is that we understand that there should not be any disruption in this end, because there's so much of work to them already. Is that we've created an experience where, leveraging the same setup, the audio feed goes into Snapsight. So it is a very simple experience where you can just have a laptop and a simple device where the audio feed goes into the device, and then Snapsight is in action. And there is no data issue as well, because the link which goes to the audio team is totally separate. So they just get the link where they can record and transcribe it, but not have access to any of the conversations or any of the transcription as well. So that's the experience. I hope I answered the question by Tom, that we are
Hmm.
analyzing the session audio which comes in live, and that is
Yeah.
where gives us the biggest. And we have a proprietary AI LLM model where we're using multiple LLMs and stronger LLMs for different other industries as well, where there is complex jargon. So
Mm-hmm.
that is how we are able to do the analysis more in detail.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so
Can
that
I?
is.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Me as an organizer, can I test it in advance to make sure the audio feed gets through the to the device that is using Snapside?
Absolutely. So I think you've done it so many times, is that there is always a stress of whether this is working or not. So yeah, so the experience is simple. When the audio feed link is shared with the AV team, they do the testing. We actually onboard them properly, and also there is literature for them to simply understand how this is done. But yeah, the testing is done, and you can test it, the audio, and also what kind of diction, and if you want to do all multiple mics at the same time, because there are panel discussions as well, you would want to see whether all the audio is coming in. So that way you can test it, and all the testing which is done, all of that is in the transcript. So there are two options. One is you can clear the data before you can start off the session, or two, we have a fairly good advanced large language model which understands that testing is different and the real session is different. So none of the banter or even the audio which is picking up on a hot mic will not be picked up, because it understands the session is about a session title is given and a description is given. So it will understand what has to be analyzed and what not.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And afterwards, I could also edit it, right? Me as an admin person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that is a good segue where we have created this experience not for only for the attendee experience as well, but for the organizer, to make it very easy for them to have access to all of this as well. So as an attendee, you would get the key takeaways, the idea cloud, and the summary. Great news. That's the part that the attendee is happy. But where does the organizer fit in here? Is that he or she would have all the access to all the sessions at one place, so that. And let me just give you a quick ride on that. Just a second.
Yeah. Yeah. And Tom, I saw your good question. We will answer that in a second.
Lovely. So if you see, this is how the backend experience looks like.
Can you share again? Hold on. There we go. Wait.
Now, let me try. Yep.
Yeah.
The
Okay. Yeah.
your project itself, Sina, for this. Thank you for for this. So whenever there is on this is the home screen of Snapsight, where all the projects, and each project is an event. And when you create a project, you create multiple sessions out of it as well. So in this case, we've created one session, which is the AI powered associations. That's the session name. So when you're creating it, there are details that you need to give. And the details are fairly basic. One is the title of the session, and then a simple description of the session, and then the date and the time. This is just according to the agenda, so that when somebody is looking at the experience of Snapsight, they would have a reference that, hey, this is the session which happened at this time and this location and this track. And then when the organizer is setting it up, they can have the option to select the session language as well. So if there is an speaker who is not speaking in English, who is delivering a speech in other languages as well, they that can also be attributed, so that all of that content would be again analyzed and put up in other languages as well. And then finally, important one would to be added is speaker details.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the biggest problem is, as any organizer would be like, hey, I don't know which speaker is going to speak until the last minute. So that can be edited just on the fly, and you can add information. The main information would be the name, the title, and the company. And this can be edited. More people can be added. If somebody else has come in last minute on the stage and contributed, you can add those details just on the fly,
Nice.
because we want less nightmares for the
Yeah.
AV team.
Nice. Okay. And then afterwards, you have the key takeaways, and then you can go to edit in case it picks up something that is not super correct, or you want to delete maybe something because it's double, or just correct something. It's all easy in the
Yeah.
back end, right?
Absolutely. So first thing, if you see, this is the experience that would look like as a session. The key
Mm-hmm.
takeaways would be simple, concise information which would be available, and most importantly, what would happen in the backend is that the organizer would have access not only to have the transcripts. Just a second. So when they manage the session on the backend, what they would see here is that they have the ability to first thing look at the entire transcript which is synced in real time, and if there are any editing that needs to be done, you can edit it and save it most also, and download capability. So there are a few use cases that comes into play. When transcripts are created, the transcripts are used and repurposed as SRT files, where if there are videos published, you can upload it so that that captioning is ready. And then there are documents of the transcript required for proofreading, or making other information, or analyzing it as well, or reporting it as well. This is in real time ready just after the session is complete, where in document or a txt file, so that it can be downloadable.
Mm-hmm.
And in case when the audio feed is one of the biggest things here. The audio
Okay.
feed is the biggest, uh, most important aspect, where that defines the quality of the analysis. Because if the audio does not be clear, then that means there might be some words here and there. So if the audio feed is connected directly with the AV team, then there is the best quality coming up. And then the output, then if in case there are any proper nouns or any changes that have been made by the organizer, you can just use this to edit the key takeaways on the fly as well, and not
Mm-hmm.
only in the base language, but all the transcripted languages and translated languages as well.
Nice. Okay, we got a question from Ian. He's asking about the latency. So, what kind of latency do you usually get from the audio feed until it shows in Snapsight or in the app?
Yeah, good question. So I would reveal one of the feature, which is the live captioning afterwards. But the live captioning would be the real-time live translation which comes in. So that is real time, because you would want that whenever the speaker is speaking, you would get a real-time translation happening, and that would be in real time. There's typically not just 1 second or 2 seconds of difference at maximum, but the real-time takeaways and summaries just after the session starts. 10 minutes into the session, you would have around 3,000 characters spoken, and that would be the time the analysis starts. And that's it. And that's about it. And believe
Mm-hmm.
me, after 10 minutes, you would have the key takeaways, summaries starting, and all of the rest of the ideas which are generated throughout the session will be adding on. And it will be syncing. In every 10 seconds, it has a sync, it has a refresh,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see anything new conversed in the session which we added there.
Nice. Okay. And after the session, it's done. It doesn't need like 5 minutes to work still. It's
It is real time, so it is doing its work on every 10 seconds. And after the session as well, it will take one more second to breathe and understand all of the session and put it together. Because until the session stops, there is the context should end, and then the final output comes in. So yeah, that would be the ideal scenario for me.
Nice. Okay, we give it a second to breathe. That's okay.
Yeah, we are
Before we
human,
move,
even though we are human.
we treat it like a human. Before we move on, I quickly want to cover Tom's questions because they're very nice. So Tom is asking if the solution can be integrated into an organizer's existing event tech solution used for the communication with the participants.
Absolutely. So we encourage this as well. We have created an agile solution where we can embed it into any event app platform. Because overall, what we envision is that the attendee should not have multiple channels where they're looking at information. So if there is an event application or a membership portal or even a website that they're depending on for their information, that is the place that we would embed Snapsight in, so that all of that analysis also would be there. Just take an example I would showcase in a few minutes is that IMEX, the American edition, had a full-fledged app in which we had embedded our as summaries as education takeaways was the label that was given to the event app, and that is where all of the sessions were ready and available for the attendees.
Hmm. Nice. And his second question is if the content is personalized to me, and I think that refers to Vamshi's answer to the previous question. If so, based on what information does this personalization take place?
Yeah, so let me explain it to you in a two-parter. One, Snapsight as a normal product and a solution is where the attendee takeaways are given based on the content session, and there is no personalization in that. We have a product called Snapsight Premium. What that does is give you personalized insights, and this comes in from the organizer. This is an initiative from the organizer where the information, yeah, I think Vamshi's answered it, is that the information is going in based on the information added by the attendee. So there are 4 or 5 fields that can be given. Mostly it would be name and the title and the company. And there is a small descriptive answer which is required. And there is an option for you to write with AI where it would be just about you. About me is the section. And that would give some information for the AI to work on. And that would draw parallels and then analyze between the session content and then uh, the attendee persona themselves. That will be a match, and then the information would be personalized based on that.
Nice. Okay. Um, so we understand now how it looks like for the participants, for the organizer. We talked about Snapchat Premium a little bit already. What other features are you working on? Because you quickly mentioned the live transcription. Maybe you can, go a bit deeper into that.
Yeah. So one of the features that we've been working on even ever the start is the live text translation. This was one of the most requested feature as well.
Mm.
We wanted to make sure that we are coming in full force with this, and we want the reason for this is that the audience are always utilizing either a translation feature or any other feature which they, and we wanted to give them a single point of experience where they're looking at a translation, insights, summaries, key takeaways, and all of that at one place. So Snapsight is the place that we want to give them a whole suite of it about all the session content. And that's where live text was born, where we are supporting multilingual support at the same time giving them the summaries and attendee idea cloud as well at the same platform. We are right now supporting 30 plus languages, and yeah, we even cracked the tricky ones, the Southeast Asian, Eastern European, Arabic, and it is a two-way translation where the attendees can be native English speakers who do not understand a speaker who is speaking, let's say, a Thai language speaker is delivering a speech. They would get the real-time transcription and captioning in their selected language, and it goes the other way when there is a native English speaker and delivering to an audience who are not native in English, and they can switch to any language of preference in real time. All of
Nice.
it is in real time. The live text, the takeaways, the idea cloud, everything is in real time itself.
Yeah, that's nice. So it's like two in one, kind of, you know? Like the organizer doesn't need another interpretation tool, but it can all be in Snapsight. So I like
Absolutely, I think you've nailed nailed it. That there's no need for multiple things, and we are already in the world with so many apps. So that's
that.
where we want to create an experience which is simpler.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I like that. Um, Before we close up, and it's another, call to action for the viewers. If you have any questions, ask them. We still have a few minutes with Anand. Now is your time to ask, and of course, you can also do that afterwards. But now we have him here with us. So after the event, so we have the key takeaways, and we have idea cloud, etc. But there are also reports. Like, can you talk a little bit more about the reports and how they look like?
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the things, one of the biggest offering for an organizer. So the attendee is having a lot of fun with getting the takeaways and everything. But one of the biggest problem statement for an event professional, I'm sure somebody who's listening would feel me in here, is that post event the intelligence which is coming from the content needs to be analyzed and put out there for the attendees again. So that is something that many professionals grapple with. They need to go through session data, go through all the videos and come up with good content for it. We're solving that. So with the help of AI and a combination of our analyst team, we're able to create a full-fledged report of with all the insights from the sessions, important quotes from the sessions, and then analysis of the sessions with actionable recommendations for the sessions as well, so that all of this for the attendee needs in just 72 hours after the event. So this is
Wow.
an example. Let me showcase. So
Wow. In
previous,
just 72 hours.
yes.
Wow. Okay.
Actually, we're trying to get faster, but yeah, that's the promise. Where an example of this is for an association event where they had a conference with uh, multiple sessions, and the insights from it would be that we were able to create a full-fledged executive summary, and then we would be able to also identify the themes, the trends, all of the discussions which came in, and also do a specific level of analysis per topic as well. So this is a cross session insights report. It is just not giving summaries of each session. It is giving an amalgamation of all the sessions which somebody attended, and they would get a full-fledged analysis of the sentiment analysis. There is challenges and opportunities discussed at the event, and finally they would get strategic insights and recommendations from the stakeholder point of view, because at an event you would have multiple people coming in from different personas. So at, let's say this is an association who had agents, brokers, and also associations. Each and every one had received a different kind of actionable insight from there. So let me jump into the final bit where, after the analysis as well, you would see recommendations and insights on a stakeholder level, that what is that coming out from this event for them. And
Wow.
that is of immense value, especially as
Yeah.
an organizer. You don't need
Yeah.
to wrestle around so much to figure this out.
Especially in 72 hours when we as an organizer, I'm still trying to relax after all the stress, and you already have the report ready. But is it all done by AI, or I don't know if I fully trust it?
It's a good question. Of course, it has an element of human touch in it, where we are depending on AI up till 80%, and 20% is where our team, and of course, the collaboration with the end customer or the end organizer would make a big difference, because they need to proofread it to make sure that it is ready for to be published. At the same time, our analyst team will put together it, compile it, and with required design it as well, and then put in the required brand guidelines, add the speaker quotes accordingly, and put in any kind of images of the speakers as well, so that to make a full-fledged report,
Nice.
which comes in for ready for the publishing.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. And me as an organizer, now I'm thinking like, whoa, that's all great. But of course, there are financial implications. What about the sponsorship opportunities? Could I sell it as a sponsorship item?
Absolutely. The biggest use case for an organizer as something driving this as a knowledge partnership,
Hmm.
because they depend on many of the exhibitors for logo presence and also to give them contextual connection to the event. So this makes a big difference because a report coming in from the organizer to the direct attendee, if the organizer is able to add the exhibitor's logo there and give that the presence that is there, all of the attendees would get this information just after the event. So there is fresh relevance, and it's just not a billboard. It is a literature which is relevant to the content of the event, and it would have more life because there is so much, there is repeat value of it, there is connection with the audience, and that's where there is a big score here. And
Yeah.
it is not a big impact on financially, because looking at the number of sessions that they've produced, content retention makes it very easy for them to acknowledge the exhibitor, give them value, and then make the report as well.
Nice. Yeah, nice. And Tom is asking if we can share a link with languages you support. Of course, we can do that. And let me not share a link, but a QR code. So Tom, I give you give you 2 minutes to scan this QR code that leads to the Snapsight website, where you can, of course, find all the information of how many languages they support, some examples of reports you can download there. But of course, also try it out yourself, because that's how I started with it. I experimented what I'm doing with all the AI tools, and then I tried it out, and I really liked it. So you can use it, not at a big conference necessarily at the start, but maybe with an internal meeting, right? So your next internal meeting that you have tomorrow or next week, put the computer there, or phone. You can also record it with a phone and see how it works. You get a feeling of it. So that's
Absolutely. I
another
think
idea.
that's a good use case because meetings or even a simple conference which is happening on a smaller scale, you can start off with that and take the understanding of how this works. And the operation aspect of it is very simple. So that's the main headache that anybody expects, but we've kind of removed that, and we would love to take feedback on anything that if any suggestion on and making a more seamless experience.
Yeah. And I agree, and you can tell like the team is listening, right? Because the people were like, "Oh, but we have interpretation tools, we have this, there's so much going on." They're trying to combine it. So whatever feedback like that, that's what I'm saying to all the relationships with tech companies. If you have feedback for them, you need to tell them. And that's how they improve, right? And that's the same with Snapsight and all of the products that GevMe is developing. They're always, asking for feedback, listening, and constantly developing. And we know the AI ride is not over yet. There is so much
We're
still
just
to
starting.
come.
We're just getting started because
Exactly.
everything has been built from the customer's end itself. So
Yeah.
it's a user driven business. So it's been a fun journey and a great experience as well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. Um, do you want to quickly share like use case that you used it for, or we can park it for next month? What do you
I
what
think
do
it
you
would
think?
be a good segment next time that we showcase some power use cases. We showcase
Yeah.
some real experiences and examples where how they've used it, what kind of experience the attendee had, how the attendee organizer utilized it, and also some industry level differences as well. So till now we're speaking about how the event industry has used it, but there are industries like market research. There are industries like
Yeah.
uh, technology, tech companies utilizing it, and also healthcare is one of the biggest industry that has potential and has used it as well. So we can discuss those use cases in detail for next time. Yeah, that would be great.
Nice. Okay, so I think with that we are 5 minutes over the half an hour, but I I think we gave everybody a very good overview of what Snapsight is, what it can do for the participants, but also for the organizers. So thanks everybody for your attention and listening and watching. The next Zina's AI Spotlight with Snapsight will be in March. And Anand just said like we will like look a little bit more into like specific use cases, what industries already are using it, and what clients they have. So I hope you have time again to tune back in then, and listen more. And of course, ask your questions. And if you have any suggestions as well, what else we should talk about, what else we should cover, you are more than welcome to write to me, to connect with Anand as well, of course, and the Snapsight team. And yeah, with that, thanks a lot and have a nice rest of your day, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.